The Philistines were a people described in the Bible. The Hebrew term Pelishtim occurs 286 times in the Masoretic text of the Hebrew Bible, whereas in the Greek Septuagint version of the Hebrew Bible, the equivalent term Philistine occurs only 12 times, with the remaining 269 references instead using the term Aliphilis. According to Joshua chapter 13 verse 3 and 1 Samuel chapter 6 verse 17, the land of the Philistines, called Philistia, was a pentapolis in southwestern Levant comprising the 5 city-states of Gaza, Ashkelon, Ashdod, Ekron, and Gath, from Wadi Gaza in the south to the Yarkon River in the north, but with no fixed border to the east. The Bible portrays them at one period of time as among the Kingdom of Israel's most dangerous enemies. Biblical scholars have connected the Philistines to other biblical groups such as Caphtorim and the Cherethites and Pelethites, which have both been identified with Crete, and leading to the tradition of an Aegean origin, although this theory has been disputed. Outside of the Bible, the evidence for an origins of the Philistines are not clear and is the subject of considerable research and speculation in biblical archaeology. Since 1822, scholars have connected the biblical Philistines with the Egyptian Pelset inscriptions, all 5 of which appear from c. 1150 BCE, just as archaeological references to Kinnehu or Canaan come to an end. And since 1873 comparisons were drawn between them and to the Aegean Pelasgians. While the evidence for these connections is etymological and has been disputed, the identification is held by the majority of Egyptologists and biblical archaeologists. Archaeological research to date has been unable to corroborate a mass settlement of Philistines during the Ramesses III era. Etymology. The etymology of the word into English is from Old French Philistin, from Classical Latin Philistinus, found in the writings of Josephus, from Late Greek Philistinoi found in the writings by Philo, from Hebrew Plistim, people of Ples, cf. Akkadian Pelasgiu, Egyptian Parusata. Biblical scholars often trace the word to the Semitic root pls, which means to divide, or invader. The name of the Philistines in their own language is not known. However, the Bible also relates them as the people of Caphtor. Caphtor is not of Hebrew or Semitic origin, which supports the possibility that this word is similar to the name they called themselves. Another theory, proposed by Jacobson and supported by others, is that the name derives from the attested Illyrian locality Palista, whose inhabitants would have been called Palestini according to normal grammatical practice. Another historian suggests that the name Philistine is a corruption of the Greek Philhistia. He goes on to suggest that they were responsible for introducing the fixed hearth to the Levant. This suggestion was raised before archaeological evidence for the use of the hearths was documented at Philistine sites. Philistines in the Bible. Torah. The Table of Nations in Genesis chapter 10 states in Hebrew with regard to the descendants of Mizraim, the biblical progenitor of the Egyptians. Vea Patrusum Vea Kasluhim Asher Yatsumi Sham Pelishtim Vea Caphtorim, literally. It says that those whom Mizraim begat included the Patrusum, Kasluhim, and the Caphtorim. There is some debate among the interpreters as to whether this verse was originally intended to signify that the Philistines themselves were the offspring of the Kasluhim or the Caphtorim. While the Kasluhim or the Caphtorim origin is widely followed by biblical scholars, other scholars such as Friedrich Schwally, Bernhard Stade, and Cornelis Tyler argued for a Semitic origin. The Torah does not record the Philistines as one of the nations to be displaced from Canaan. In Genesis chapter 15 verses 18 to 21, the Philistines are absent from the 10 nations Abraham's descendants will displace, as well as being absent from the list of nations Moses tells the people they will conquer. God also directed the Israelites away from the Philistines upon their exit from Egypt according to Exodus chapter 13 verse 17. In Genesis chapter 21 verses 22 to 27, Abraham agrees to a covenant of kindness with Abimelech, the Philistine king, and his descendants. And Abraham's son Isaac deals with the Philistine king similarly in chapter 26. Unlike most other ethnic groups in the Bible, the Philistines are almost always referred to without the definite article in the Torah. Deuteronomistic history rabbinic sources state that the Philistines of Genesis were different peoples from the Philistines of the Deuteronomistic history. This differentiation was also held by the authors of the Septuagint, who translated the term as Alephiloi instead of Philistines throughout the books of Judges and Samuel. Throughout the Deuteronomistic history, Philistines are almost always referred to without the definite article, except on 11 occasions. On the basis of the LXX's regular translation into Alephiloi, the Philistines are said to have dominated the Israelites in the times of Samson, who killed many Philistines and had many skirmishes with them, and Eli, and even to have captured the Ark of the Covenant for a few years. A few biblical texts, such as the Ark narrative and stories reflecting the importance of Gath, seem to portray late and early Iron II memories. They are mentioned more than 250 times, the majority in the Deuteronomistic history, and are depicted as among the arch-enemies of the Israelites, a serious and recurring threat before being subdued by David. The Bible paints the Philistines as the main enemy of the Israelites, with a state of almost perpetual war between the two peoples. The Philistine cities lost their independence to Assyria, and revolts in following years were all crushed. They were subsequently absorbed into the Babylonian and Persian empires, and disappeared as a distinct ethnic group by the late 5th century BC. The Philistine Pentapolis were ruled by Seranim, though to what extent they had a sense of a nation is not clear without literary sources. Battles between the Israelites and the Philistines. The following is a list of battles purported in the Bible between the Israelites and the Philistines. The Battle of Shephelah. Israelites defeated at the Battle of Aphek. Philistines captured the Ark. Philistines defeated at the Battle of Ebenezer. Skirmish at Michmash. Philistines routed by Jonathan and his men. Near the Valley of Elah, David defeats Goliath in single combat. The Philistines defeat Israelites on Mount Gilboa, killing King Saul and his 3 sons Jonathan, Abinadab and Malchishua. Hezekiah defeats the Philistines as far as Gaza and its territory.